Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. Last week with E189, we got a guided tour of the monstrously large Boulder Amplifier facility in Louisville, Colorado. Today, we'll hear a conversation that I had with Logan Rosenkrantz, Boulder's international sales manager, who conducted last week's splendid tour, and Kenzo Horiuchi, their sales coordinator. We'll also get to listen to some recordings made in their dedicated listening space as well. In our discussion, we touch on the fact that Boulder is celebrating 4 decades as an elite U.S. electronics manufacturer, a rather significant accomplishment. Boulder Amplifiers was founded by Jeff Nelson, the lead engineer, designer, and sole proprietor, in 1984. When Jeff started the company, he lived in Southern California and was immersed in the pro sound world of the broadcast and recording studio culture of the 1970s. His first product design was a cart machine for Pacific recorders called the Tomcat. These cart machines were a staple in the broadcast industry, used in daily production and broadcast. They were essentially endless loop magnetic tape cartridge recorders that used the Fidelipac magnetic tape cartridge, or CART for short, which resembled the old 8-track tape cartridge. Radio stations used them to produce and record content to play on the air. Things like commercials, jingles, station identifications. Even sometimes they'd record music on them too. But Jeff's Tomcat had set a new bar for reliability and sound quality, and he sold over 3,000 of them over its production lifetime. It was also in Southern California and with Pacific Recorders where Jeff met Deane Jensen. Deane is best known for his work with Transformers, and he also created the 990 gain stage, a discreetly implemented operational amplifier that broke new ground in measured performance. It should be no surprise that Deane and Jeff became friends over their shared love of electronics. And their long conversations over beers, discussing the use of similar ideas and implementations in amplifier design, would be the inspiration behind the first Boulder amplifier, the 500. The 500 was purpose-built for use in recording studios. Jeff and Deane would loan them to studios, artists, recording engineers, and as all those people refused to return them, they felt they were on to something special. Countless recordings at Westlake Studios and film scores by Skywalker Sound have used 500s and other early Boulder products in their production. It wasn't long after that the 500AE, or Audiophile Edition, was offered and found its way into many home stereo systems. Jeff says he still knows quite a few audiophiles who are still quite happily using their 500s in their systems today. In 1984, Jeff moved to Boulder, Colorado to officially start Boulder Amplifiers. At about this same time, the 500AE, or Audiophile Edition, was introduced and found strong success in the Japanese market. In those days, the Japanese market led the way in hi-fi trends, and market research across Japan and Taiwan led to a more sophisticated chassis design and uncovered the desire for even more powerful, nicer looking, and more refined amplification components. Jeff has always challenged himself to build the best possible amplifier he could. This is when the large aluminum chassis, super high power, and massively overbuilt designs that Boulder is known for began to take shape, heralding a close to the era of the Boulder Pro Audio gear. This innovative approach first was realized in the 2000 series. With a completely fresh look, the only similarity to the earlier Pro Audio gear was that it retained the same neutrality in an attempt to allow the music to speak without coloration or distortion. Since the release of the 2000 series, Boulder products have been designed and built to the highest standards that Jeff and Boulder's team of engineers can accomplish, with no limits on cost or size. The 2000 series has since evolved into the 2100 series, and with the launch of the 3000 series, each new tier represents the vertical integration of refinement of their technological approach, material sciences, and in-house handmade manufacturing techniques. More recently, Boulder has chosen to focus on the development of the 800 and 1100 series. The goal here was to distill everything they had learned in realizing the original flagship amps, preamps, and DACs, and to be able to hone all their expertise and the maximum level of performance that was possible at more affordable price points. If you've had a chance to experience the overachieving 812 DAC preamp headphone amp, the 861 stereo amplifier, or the very well-received 866 integrated amplifier, you'll understand just how well they have succeeded. But let's join Logan and Kenzo for that chat, then get a quick sample of a few songs played back in their remarkable sound room listening lab. Welcome, everyone. We are here in Louisville, Colorado, at Boulder Factory. We've had a great tour. I want to talk to Logan and Kenzo. They've been such gracious hosts. We met Jeff a little bit ago. We've had such a wonderful tour. We're in the big sound room here, which is no parallel walls, pretty much everything you can think to be done to a room. The walls are isolated, separate concrete slab. Everything about this room is done right. We'll go through the equipment. It'll all be in the description later. But I wanted to have these guys talk with us a little bit about where Boulder has come from, because this is your 40th anniversary, yes?
Yes.
And
correct.
guys, introduce yourselves. I'll shut up for a minute.
I'm Logan Rosencrantz. I'm the International Sales Manager of Boulder.
I'm Kenzo Horiyuchi. I am the Sales Coordinator for Boulder Amplifiers.
And they're both pretty solid cats, let me tell you. I've enjoyed this pretty much. I've had a grand time. Thanks for your hospitality, guys.
Yeah, of course.
So, 40th anniversary, that's pretty significant, especially in the American high-end market. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about the progression of the sound quality I've heard over the years listening to Boulder. What I would like to do basically is talk about where you guys are now, how you think you got here, or what you think is significant about getting here. Maybe a little bit about some of the technologies that matter that you think. And if you want to give me some ideas about the directions or where you think Boulder may be going in the near future, that would be great.
Sure. I think Boulder is a well-established in the ultra high-end or the high-end market now. We got our start from recording studios and equipment that was meant for recording only.
Yeah, I saw one of the original cart machines, and I saw a breadboarded version, which I'll try and put pictures in the display while we're talking.
Sure, but the early Boulders were 500 amps that were used in studios, Westlake Studios more particular, so in Southern California. And in those studios, it was used to record albums like Michael Jackson Thriller, Justin Timberlake, and many other artists. So what those artists wanted was the signal coming in should be what's coming out.
Makes sense.
And Jeff in the 90s started to transfer into more home audio, but taking the same philosophy by doing that. So that's how we emerged as a very neutral but ultra high-end brand. And that's where you start to see the nice machining and all of that was in the 90s. So, but now we do everything in-house or everything that we can do in-house.
Now, this new facility was around 2016, custom built?
Yeah.
I mean, this was your design, the way it was laid out, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And it's a gorgeous facility, as you've seen on the videos. So, and other than the actual anodizing, that's what you send out at this point, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we don't wind our own transformers, but we import it from an American company that we've worked with for a long time, and we don't do raw boards. So anything that requires nasty chemicals, Boulder County, we would need our own separate building facility for that. So that's something we don't do in-house, but maybe in the future. Sure. That's the one thing, as Boulder progressed, we bring more and more in-house as we can. and what makes sense.
You can maintain control, keep costs down,
exactly.
and get things exactly the way you want them rather than having to deal with a contractor who may or may not have the same levels of standard you have.
And that point, exactly.
Yeah.
It's to get it exactly how we picture it.
Yeah.
And our suppliers now we're really happy with, but as time goes on, like I said, we might bring more into house.
Now, we're going to do some listening here. We did a little bit. There'll be some recordings. Everybody calm down. There'll be some recordings. But so talk about the room a little bit, because you guys, this room, I mentioned some of the highlights about it, but it's really well done. It's not overdone, by the way, which is, I've seen so many rooms that are over-damped, over-treated, and it's lifeless in there. This room is done in a level that I think makes perfect sense. I wish I could afford to do a room like this in some ways, but what do you think? What do you think makes this experience so? I mean, certainly you've used the Focals because everybody knows them, right?
Correct.
But it lets your stuff show off really well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to your point, I think you see Focal with a bunch of different electronics. You rarely see it with Boulder, but everyone knows these speakers well, so it really lets the electronics shine. And the beauty of having a damped room is this is, one, a really good listening room, but it also acts as a lab, so we can completely listen to the electronics opposed to just listening to listen. But yeah, this room was designed by Jeff, and going back to his studio days, he knows how studios
double doors, completely isolated walls, separate concrete slab. The non-parallel walls are, to me, really cool. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And there's a huge bass trap actually in the ceiling.
You said it was there's how much above there?
I think it's 5 feet.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah. If you guys ever get a chance to come out here and visit and have time, and they're able to accommodate you, you really need to experience this. It's a great experience.
Well, and we're happy to do tours for anyone that asks. Just give us a heads up. Don't
Very
just
gracious.
show up.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. But very gracious hosts, I must say. Kenzo, you've been around this a little bit too.
A little bit.
Yeah. I'm joking, obviously. But so what do you feel that is that you bring to this company, and what's important to you about being here?
So I'm glad that Jeff and Logan brought me on, because I was somebody who was really just uninformed about this industry as a whole before I started. So before I was doing this, I was just working in retail sales. I had no idea that anything like this existed. And so I definitely got lucky in where I landed at the end of the day, being Boulder Amplifiers and being at that high of a level. But it kind of gave me an opportunity to see where everything started from the ground up. So I didn't have any references. I didn't know any better. So
I didn't have to unlearn anything.
Exactly. I didn't have any bad habits that I had already learned. I could kind of just be taught in such a good way without having these preceding biases.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a great idea that Jeff and Logan brought me into this, because this industry, it's interesting, right? And being somebody
That's a polite word for it.
Being somebody who is outside of it just opened my eyes after hearing the first setup here, which was an 1110 and 1160 in this room. I knew that, oh my goodness, I'm missing out when it comes to just having
that
my
brings
MP3 recordings. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. Do you want to briefly touch on the lines, 3000s, 2100? And
Sure.
I mean, we go from best at 3000
Sure.
to the 2100 series.
Yep.
To the 1100 series.
Correct.
To the 800 series.
Yep.
To the 500 series.
Right. And in the 500
lucky.
series, we just have the 508 currently.
So that's the phono stage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, the phono stage is 6,000-ish?
Yeah, just under 6,000.
Yeah. And the flagship amps are...
around 350,000.
Yeah, about 350 a pair, yeah. The 3010 line stage is 168,000?
Around 150.
150, all right.
Yep.
Sorry.
No worries.
But, and I refer to this level of luxury audio as hyper audio, because, there are people out there who think, oh, it's ridiculous to spend that kind of money. And I'm not debating that. I've never said, if you can't afford or don't want to afford this kind of gear, no biggie. If what you have in your home makes you tap your toes and dance and sing and be happy, that's all you need.
Right.
But this last dozen years or so, I've been chasing the ability to get back to being in the room with the artists and feeling what they were trying to say, not just hearing high quality sound. I want that emotive experience. And I think what Boulder has done progressively from when I first started paying attention to Boulder products, especially over, say, the last decade, particularly the 7 years of my paying attention, you guys are moving well past just the transparency and the resolution that is required for this kind of level. But there's an emotional connection to this gear that I did not hear years back. And I think that's something that not every company that hits this level of performance is able to present. Do you have any thoughts on what may have caused that, or what am I completely crazy, or what are you thinking?
No, I think it's just time and building better products. I mean, around 14 years ago, we did the 3000 series, and things changed then. I mean, the 2000 series was done in the mid 90s. And had a lifespan of 15 years, and all during that time we were doing development on other things. So as you design a new product, you learn,
of course,
and you have to adapt, and technology changes slightly, and so there's a lot of things to go with your favor if you're open minded to make changes and improve. But especially doing the 3000 series, doing the best of your engineering capability and sonic, something that's musical, then you can distill it down the product range.
Sure. So when you guys look at developing a new product, is there, I mean, do you look at what the market needs? Do you look at what you think you can improve on already to make the next step? How do you guys develop new products? Is there any kind of rhyme or reason to it?
I mean, all of the above.
Okay.
You look at the market, you look at what we can do, what we can improve on.
Sure.
Where there's holes in our lineup. And so, but we don't want to come out with a product that we don't think is going to be really good or not fit a need. We don't want to just make something to make it.
Right, that's pointless.
Make a Mark II or something unless we see a real true improvement. That's part of the reason why our lines last for so long.
The changes I've seen, and it's partially my fault for having fallen out of touch with it for a while, but when I really got back into paying attention to what Boulder was doing, and guys, the experience you guys provided in Munich in May with YG, that's the best performance I've ever heard from YG ever, and I'm sure a lot of it was because it was mated with your gear. The synergy there was fabulous, and I was really impressed with that room, and it got some coverage on my channel. So to finish up here, I don't want to keep you guys too long. Did you want to make a point?
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't think we can take all of the credit, but thank you.
Well,
there's a lot of
synergy. Sure, and I get that. But it was mostly you and YJ. Cable manufacturers. There was a turntable, Techniques, I think. But and we listened mostly to digital there. So
sure.
But listen, as we close now, let me have your thoughts on anything that you want to share about Boulder that we haven't covered. Kenzo, you want to go first?
No, I think we've pretty much hit everything on the head.
Good.
We like to take control of what we can, including all the stuff from like our website, having a photo lab here, anything that you've seen from ads is basically shot here.
Yeah, you showed me the studio here.
That's always a fun one to play around with. And just the level that we go to make sure that all of our products are going to be as perfect as they can be. So if that's the 3050s, if that's the smaller 800 series, all of our products before they leave the door are going to get the same amount of attention regardless of where they are in our lineup. So if that's taking the time to test an 812 to the level that we would test a 3050, we're all going to do it.
The attention to detail, the cleanliness, the layout, the attention to detail you guys do. I mean, it's well shown in what your results are. The place is a spectacular visit. It's a gorgeous facility. And now I'll shut up. What do you want to close with, sir? Anything that you want to add?
No, I mean, just to make a comment on the building, it was designed like how we design our amplifiers, well thought out. And
it's built to grow in too.
And built to expand.
Well, you have it on a property if you need it, right? You can always add another facility if you need it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a beautiful facility.
And it took years to get this building
Oh, I'm sure.
up, but we're really happy to be here and have a dedicated facility to do everything that we need to and room to grow.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's a marvelous experience, and it's
Thank
certainly paid off. Guys, I can't thank you enough for your hospitality and your time. It's been a wonderful trip. I'm so honored to have been here. I can't thank you enough.
well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, we're glad you could make it out.
And anyone who wants to come, they're welcome. But
Call ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, just give us a heads up.
Yeah.
That's all we ask.
Guys, thank you so much. Till next time.
Thank you.
Today, at 40 years old, Boulder is a company of more than 30 employees, including 5 engineers with over 100 years combined experience. Growing into their massive, dedicated facility, which you got to see last week, with 5 CNC machines for milling their aluminum chassis, a glass bead blast chamber they designed in-house to do fine polish work, and 2 surface mount technology machines to populate components on their internal circuit boards, they show not only no signs of slowing down, but have every intention of pushing the boundaries even further. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.